دەنگێ ئەم کاتتان باش زۆر سپاس بۆ ئامادەبوونیتان ئەزانم بابەتی مێژوو بۆ زۆر کەچوشکە بەس من بۆ جۆرە ناکەم مێژوویەکتان بۆ بازەکەم بە وێنەوە بە بەڵگەنامەوە ئەو مێژووی کە بۆ سەدان ساڵە لە ئێمە بزرگراوە لەم با بڵین دوانی وەڕا خواتکایە ئەو کتێبە ئەڵەما کتێبە ئەو دەرگایەدا خەمبا دەنگەدەنگ نێ و ئەم گڵۆپانەش ئەگەر کەسێک ئەم گڵۆپانە بژێنێتەوە چکە وێنەوشت شانی دیارە کاگوڵات لەکوێیە؟ کاگوڵات 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 وێنە نییە کاگوڵاتیان کۆمپیوتەرەکەمان پێویستە کاگوڵات ببورن لەبەرەوەی دەبینە هەندێک کوردی تێناگا هەندێک کوردی تێگا بڕیارمان ناوە بەرنێزیکەی هیوام وایە ئەوە هەندێکتان بێزار نەکا ئەمەوێنەوەی گوێتێکرا و هەندێک لە میوانەکانیش بەو زمانە لەبەرەوە I have to do it in English language. We were thinking about whether we do it in English or Kurdish, but finally we decided to do it in English so that whether we say majority or younger generation and our guests can understand the meaning. So, can you close the door, please? Can you turn off the light? So we are all here to talk about the lost history of the Kurds. I will start by an introduction, and then why history of the Kurds matter. Some people say it doesn't matter. Who cares about history? So we discuss this issue as well. Later on, we look at modern view about the Kurds. I'll bring some evidence how academia, how academic institutions around the world currently so how academic institutions currently see the Kurds. I will show you the evidence, and we look at the old view as well, how the ancient documents, how they saw the Kurdish people. So I'm going to look at the evidence of writing. Through evidence of writing, I will show you who the Kurds are. And later on, we will look at the agricultural evidence, just again to see who the Kurds are and where did they come from. Now, I believe what's currently called what's currently called Kurdish history is not theirs. It's a history written by colonial power to serve political agendas. I don't believe in conspiracy theory. Anything I say based on evidence, because if we don't base our argument on evidence, it won't be academic argument. So we conclude the afternoon, and I will listen to your question. I try to speak for 45 minutes, and later on I'll take your questions. Introduction. From childhood, I'm a Kurd. At home, we were Kurdish. But outside home, I couldn't find myself. In the history book of Iraq, I was born in South Kurdistan. So in the history books, I was trying to find any mention of Kurds, but we didn't exist. So I lived in this parallel. At home, my father told me, you are a Kurd and you have to remain a Kurd. But outside my home, the book told me differently. We didn't exist. So we existed and we didn't exist. So that encouraged me question who we are. Where did we come from? Why this contradiction exists? For years, I focused my study on studying the history of the Kurds, understanding where did they come from. But one day, about 15 years ago, I was looking at a paper about Manayan. Manayan, they ruled East and South Kurdistan, mainly east of Kurdistan. These people, they were rulers about 3,000 years ago. So while I was reading the paper, suddenly I saw this name. A ruler of Manayan 3,000 years ago was called Azam. 3,000 years ago. Azam in Kurdish language means brave. But I didn't jump to conclusion. I said maybe this is just coincidence. Maybe it's not a Kurdish name. But later on, I saw another name, Baghdadi. Baghdadi again was a name of a ruler. Baghdadi in Kurdish, Bagzada, which means born of the Lord. Bagzada, I think most of you heard of that. So suddenly then I said no. History on its own cannot answer our question, our aim of finding about it. We need language as well. So my journey, about 15 years ago, I started studying ancient languages. Sumerian, Hurrian, Hittite, Avestan, Pahlavi, Old Persian, Luyan, and some other languages. I suddenly found that with history on its own is not enough. So I started the journey of understanding the Kurd through language as well. So why history of the Kurd matters? I love water. So that question, some people say, who cares? Today it's important. Who cares? In reality, I think every history matters because history of any people on planet Earth is part of the history of humanity. If we don't understand part of that history, that means there's a gap in our understanding. So if we don't understand history of any nation, any people, that means there's a gap in our understanding about history of humanity. But history of the Kurd matters more. Let me show you why it matters more. Look, this is the map of Kurdistan. I didn't draw it. This is, it was drawn by an organization about 70 years ago. So this is the map of Kurdistan. Here, this is Fertile Crescent. Have you heard of Fertile Crescent? Anyone heard? Fertile Crescent? Okay. Fertile Crescent, we call it in Kurdish, Kawani Bapit. Many human civilization started there. There are two milestones. Agricultural revolution started there, and animal domestication. You see, can you turn off your mobile, please? Today we talk about industrial revolution. We never talk about agricultural revolution. In the matter of fact, agricultural revolution was more important than industrial revolution. Because for the first time, humanity, before that, they were hunter-gatherer. They were hunting. They had every day run after gathering food. Suddenly, when they started the agriculture, they had food surplus or extra food. So they had the pleasure of sitting down and enjoying the time. So that way, people, that is how the civilization and profession started. Because suddenly we had food surplus, so we can sit down and listen to music. We can listen to stories. We have time for that. So that's how civilization started. So Kurdistan is in the heart of beginning of human civilization, which is agricultural revolution and animal domestication. Now, if we don't understand the Kurd who live on that land, that means we don't understand the beginning of civilization, because this is the land where the civilization started from. Now, maybe some of you Kurdish children from new generation is going, you try to Google it. who are the Kurds? Maybe trying to find out. This is a major organization called Britannica. Britannica has another name, British Encyclopedia. This organization is considered an academic organization, so anything they say, we consider it academic. Now, look at the view of this organization about the Kurds. Today, as we are speaking, look, we read it together. The traditional Kurdish way of life was nomadic, revolving around sheep and goat herding throughout the Mesopotamian plains and the highland of Turkey and Iran. So Kurds were nomads. They're the traditional, we were nomad on the mountains on Turkey and Iran. Most Kurds, I highlighted those comments. Look, most Kurds practice only marginal agriculture. So Kurds didn't know agriculture. They were just herders. The enforcement of national boundaries beginning after the World War I embedded their seasonal migration of the flocks, forcing the most of the Kurds to abandon their traditional way of village life and settle farming. So, thank God, when they drew this map, according to Britannica, Kurds started to settle and they started agriculture. Before that, they didn't know. They were nomad on these mountains. So this is academic view about the Kurds of today. This is the view of one of the biggest organizations in the world. Now, I will show you an example old view about the Kurds. This man is very important. I love this man. His name is Benoit. He's not Kurdish. He's Chaldean. Chaldean, we call them New Babylonian as well. These people were, they were considered people of science by the Greek. And this particular man, he was linguist and agriculturalist. Around the world, he is known as one of the top agriculturalists in the history of humanity. Remember, he's Chaldean, he's not Kurdish. This is his view about the Kurds. This is 1,200 years ago. Look, the Chaldean or New Babylonian were the wisest men of their times, well acquainted with every science and art. The Kurds debated them and wanted to be their equal. So 1,200 years ago, Kurds wanted to debate the Chaldean and wanted to be their equals. Okay? The first superiority Kurds had over them was in agriculture and botany. So 1,200 years ago, Kurds were better than, according to a Chaldean, better than Chaldean in agriculture. Okay? They claim to descend from Banu Shad. Kurd claim to Banu Shad is one of the wise men of Mesopotamia. He's a well-known figure. And to have to got possession of Book of Adam. This is very interesting. The Kurds, they said they have Book of Adam of agriculture. Adam is not the Adam of biblical books of Islam and Christianity and Judaism. This is the original Sumerian Adam. You will see in the book the detail. I can't give you all that detail, but you can find out about that. So the Kurds, 1,200 years ago, had the books of Adam of agriculture. And the man said, Kurds are superior. I saw in Baghdad 30 books written in this alphabet. This is the Kurdish alphabet 1,200 years ago. Okay? The man said, I saw 30 books written in Kurdish